Myself, Bhavya K from Kumpha Road Municipal Secondary English School. Yesterday, students, we started with chapter number 6, revision for empowerment of women and other weaker sections. So we have completed half a part of a chapter. Today, we are going to continue the further part of the chapter. Now, before continuing the further part of the chapter, let's recall or let's revise what we have done yesterday. Now, we understood that women had participated in a very large number in freedom struggle, as well as there is a lot of contributions in all sectors or all fields of women in after independence, that is post-independence period too. Okay, so in this regards, we have seen few movements, the movements started started by the women leaders and wherein there is a lot of participation of women and the women united women power was shown. So one of them is manifestation of women power, wherein here the women had to face the burden, okay, of scarcity of supplies and the rising prices of the commodities. Okay, so in the year 1972, so there under the leadership of socialist leader, the name was Mrinal Gore, women in Mumbai participated in a demonstration uh, wherein they came together and they started brandishing the rolling pins. And it was this demonstration was known as Latne Morcha, meaning the rolling pin demonstration. Okay, and this movement met with a success, and the people got to know how the united power of women could fight against any kind of injustice. Then next is the Chipko movement. Okay. Now here also very another constructive women power could be seen. It was in the year 1973. Now what was happening? Trees from the forest to foothills of Himalayas were cut down for business purposes. So the two leaders, male leaders, that Chandi Prasad Bhatt and Sundarlal Bahuguna, they started a movement to prevent this. Now, what did women used to do? They used to encircle, okay, the tree. They should used to hold their hands and they used to encircle the tree, and they used to protect the trees by embracing, holding each other. So this movement was known as Chipko movement. And many women, a large number of women took part in this movement. Even there were women activists whose name was Gaura Devi, who created awareness among the women with the help of other women leaders like Sudesha Devi and Bachani Devi. The next is anti-liquor movement, so what we had done yesterday. So this movement was started against the drinking of alcohol. And what used to happen? The head of the household used to die at an unsuitable time, at a very young age, because of addiction to alcohol. And because of the death of a head of a family, the family had to face lots of problems, okay, lots of crises, so which affected the women the most. So they had to deal with extreme sorrow, poverty, and this anti-liquor movement, they got the support of anti-Iraq movement, which in Andhra Pradesh only. Anti-Iraq is wherein the shops stop on locally produced alcohol. That means anti-Iraq. So as the government policy was passed, Iraq locally produced alcohol dealers used to set up their own shop, okay, where they used to sell and produce alcohol and in every town and village. So what did the poor laboring people used to get? Laborers, they used to get addicted to alcohol. Okay, and because of that, there was a lot of problem happening to the family. So there was a literacy program that was run in villages, and the Sitama Katha was narrated as a program. And the Sita who used to create awareness among the people, and she used to make people understand what are the ill effects of alcohol and it should be and why it should be banned from the village. And then there was one incident that happened in 1992, whereas three youngsters they drowned in a lake in Nellore district in the Dubganta village of Andhra Pradesh. and they drowned and they died. So at this incident, all the women of the village again came together and the women power was shown and they forced the closure of Arak shop. Okay. And this movement, it spread the protest, what the women were doing. It spread to the news and the government had finally to adopt a policy against the sale of alcohol. Then we also covered the international years, women's years, wherein the United Nations had declared 1975 as the International Women's Year. And the three aspects of their program was to bring about peace, development, and equality between men and women. So in 1975, what did the government do? The government formed a committee and to find out the status of women, and they appointed Dr. Fulrenu Guha as its chairman. So in this under this committee, there was a complete, comprehensive survey. Means a complete survey was conducted related to find out the several issues women faced in the society. Okay, so it included survey related to consequence of the constitutional provisions made for women. Okay, means what are there are certain laws written in constitution whether they are getting equal rights as women are getting equal right as men. Uh, they are they allowed to take part in administration of country? Uh, There is to check that there is no discrimination happening on basis of race, religion, caste, place of birth, and equal opportunities given to women. So, and even the survey was done about how many women are educated, how many are uneducated, their percentage, their progress, what are the difficulties the women are facing, the working women are facing, what is the position related to their work, related to their way to earn money, their payment, the ratio between female and male, how much is birth rate, how much is death rate. So, on survey, comprehensive survey was conducted on it. Now, then there was a statewide conference which happened in 1975 again, and it was organized by Stree Mukti Sangharsha Samiti, and women from all walks they took part in this some conference organized by Stree Mukti Sangharsha Samiti, and there was a policy. This Samiti, they published a policy manifesto, which is said in 1978. Okay, against the discrimination done to women on the basis of gender, caste, and varna was adopted. Now, because of this policy which was adopted, there was certain activities that had uh, started related to issues of women. So there was collection of songs like Sri Mukti Ji Lalkari. Then there was a street play done called Mulki Zali Ho by Jyoti Mapsekar. Then there came up a periodical, okay, which was known as Prerak Lalkari in Marathi, which became a voice, you can say. And then in 1977, there was a group like Stri Mukti Andolan Samiti. It was established by Saudamini Rao in Pune, and she she was the editor of a magazine which was known as Bayaja, came up, and then there is many feminist organization which was started, which included Stree Uvaj, Maitreen, Stree Anyay Virodhi Manch in Aurangabad, Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Kolhapur, Mahila Hakka in Nasik, and Nari Prabodhan Manch in Latur were formed. Then anti-dowry committees were formed all over Maharashtra. And even a conference to protest against ill treatment was organized in rural cities. There were Vidya Bal's periodicals for women, Nari Samta Manch and Milun Sarvedani. They also Samajwadi Mahila Sabha and Krantikari Mahila Sangatan. All this Sangatan and organization were of great help in dealing with the women's issues. Then there another women, Pramila Dandote, she established a Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Delhi. Okay, and these branches of this Samiti started in other states like Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Punjab. Even the Communist Party, they started Akhil Bharatiya Janavadi Mahila Sangatan in 1980. Okay, and they to fight against issues related to women like dowry, female foeticide, domestic abuse. Even the universities are started, like SNGT University, Women's University Mumbai in Mumbai, Tata Institute of Social Science in Mumbai, Savitribai Phule University, University in Kolhapur. So all these centers, they played an important role in critical analysis and in developing a vision on women's issues. Now we'll continue the further part of the lesson today. Now, laws for women. Now, the law enacted in 1952 recognizes women's right to alimony. Alimony means financial support and their share in the father's property. So, there is a law which is passed in 1952, which uh, says that women have a right to alimony means financial support, and even they have a share in the father's property after marriage. Her right to Stridhan means property obtained at the time of marriage, was recognized. Polygamy means having more than one wife or husband, was made illegal, means not allowed by law. And women, they just like men, they got a right to sue, like to take legal action for divorce. Now, it was a law that took one step forward concerning women's issue over the following decade, that is a period of 10 years. Then the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961, okay, which was basically intended to prevent give and take of dowry. It made more, both giving and taking of dowry a cognizable criminal offense, means a clearly identifiable crime. Okay, and this dismantled and destroyed the dowry tradition which was in practice during those days in large numbers. So this destroyed the dowry tradition by its root, and they further encouraged the social movement, okay, wherein all which allowed the people to come together, speak their mind, and make people aware of the issues. Now the law alleviated means reduced the distress. The distress means suffering to women caused by the undesirable means unwanted tradition of dowry. Then the Maternity Benefit Act. Okay, Benefit Act means 12 weeks, that is 84 days of leaves were allowed, granted for women, and it gave the women the right to get leave from their work at once at the time of childbirth, and it also came into force, means it was implemented in the year 1961. So these are the few laws that were passed related to women. Then awareness against the dowry tradition. So dowry practice of give and take of dowry, which was existing in large number during those days. So how the awareness came about? Even after the enactment of anti-dowry law, okay, even after the Dowry Prohibition Act, which was passed in 1961, there were incidents like women burns to death as sari pallu catches fire while cooking, and women slips into well while washing clothes, drowns and dies, then continue to be reported. So even the dowry law was, there are a lot of incident coming up of women died due to due to burning, or slips into the well. Women slips into the well, or and drowns and dies during washing clothes and all. So investigation was done on this incident, and it revealed that dowry was the most frequent cause of such death. So it was all this death or incident was happening due to dowry only. So the role of police, the administration, that is the management, and the judiciary, that is the law, the court system of our country, were highlighted. So this created greater awareness. As a result, the Prohibition Amendment Act. Initially, Dowry Prohibition Act was passed in 1961. So there was a changes done to that act, that law, and again a Dowry Prohibition Amendment Act. It came into force in 1984. In 1988, 2,209 women died. It was due to victim to dowry tradition that was happening. In 1990, the number of dowry deaths was 4,835, and in 1993 it was 5,377. So these numbers will show what was the seriousness of the issue that was happening due to dowry. The next is Family Courts 1984. Now the Family Courts, it was established to resolve conflict. Conflict means fight arising out of differences within marriage and domestic problems like problem in home with family relationship, as well as issues such as alimony. Alimony is basically a fixed amount paid to a married woman for her support by the husband who has divorced her. So this family courts were established to to solve the problems or issues related to alimony, single parenthood, the single parent uh, is looking after children, separation of husband and wife, care of children, who will take care of children once the divorce happens, ownership of the children, which are all related to family situation. So these family courts, it gave priority, means importance to mutual understanding over witnesses. If we go to normal court, okay, normal case, they look for evidence, proof, and witnesses. Okay, but when it comes to family court, it gives importance to mutual understanding between the married couples rather than bringing out the witnesses and evidence. Evidence means proof, and rather than proof, they give importance to counselors over lawyers. Emphasis is on resolving issues quickly but justly. Okay, so more stress in this family court is given to solve the issues quickly but in a fair manner. Then comes trial involving alimony 1985. In case involving alimony. So fixed amount paid to a married woman for her upkeep, that is the support by the husband who has divorced her, is called an alimony, as I explained here. So in the case of Muhammad Ahmad Khan vs Shah Bano Begum, so there was a case which was between Muhammad Ahmad Khan and Shah Bano Begum. So the Supreme Court, it gave a verdict, it gave a judgment that Shah Bano Begum, she had a right to alimony. However, the religious organization, the Muslim religious organization, they protested against this judgment vociferously in a loud manner against the verdict. And as a result, the Muslim Women's Act, okay, was passed, and which is basically protection of rights on divorce, and it was passed by the parliament. Then the Commission of Sati Prevention Act. Okay, the sati wherein the women used to throw herself, okay, on her husband's funeral, that practice was also happening during this period. So on 4th September 1987, there is a case of Rup Kanwar. She is a married woman and she committed sati. she she did not wanted to do by herself, okay, or by her own free will. She was coerced means she was pressurized, she was forced to do so. And committing sati, glorifying means praising the practice of sati, were all illegal acts. So the women activists and journalists, the like Neena Menon, Geeta Sheshu, Sujata Anandan, Anu Joseph, and Kalpana Sharma, they investigated this case of sati. And in 1998, the government passed the Sati Prevention Act. The Sati Prevention Act means law to prevent the commission of sati and its glorification and for matters connected related it, with a very strict provisions. Then Protection of Human Rights Act. Okay, human right means protecting the uh, protecting the rights. Human Rights Act means law related to human rights, like the right to life, right to liberty, freedom, from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression. So in 1993, this law was enacted to prevent injustice to men and women both. So the National Human Rights Commission, okay, which was established on 12th October 1993, it was responsible for protecting and promotion of human rights. In some states, the State's Human Rights Commission was formed, which inquired into the violation of human rights related to subjects covered under state list and concurrent list in the seventh schedule of the Indian Constitution. This law it deals with the collective oppression. Oppression means ill treatment. The social condition of divorced women means the condition of the divorced women in the society. Women in secure workplaces played an effective role in mitigating means reducing injustice to women. Then comes reservation of women. So the 73rd and 74th Amendment, which was made in the Constitution, it provided for reservation of one third of seats, especially for women in local self-government bodies. That included Gram Panchayat, okay, Panchayat Samiti, Zilla Parishad in rural areas, then municipalities and municipal corporations in urban areas, as well as for post of Sarpanch, Chairman, and Mayor. So seats were reserved for women in local self-government bodies in rural as well as urban areas. Maharashtra and 15 other states, they reserve 50% seats for women. So this provision, it provides women the opportunity to participate in the community business, okay, in the politics basically. Now, after independence, the constitution of our country, it accepted the principle of equality between men and women. However, the women got the important political right, that is right to vote. Even women got equal right to education and work in on par means in comparison with men. Inhuman practices which was happening like sati, dowry, and polygamy were banned according to law. Women's right to sue to means start a legal case, okay, for divorce was approved or recognized. They got a lawful share in property, okay, in property of their father. According to law, they had right to property in their father as well as husband after marriage. In local self-government bodies, the seats were reserved for women, as we discussed earlier, so that they have their just share of political power. Now, today, we see that due to this provision, which were done for women, women have got women have begun to get education. They have started earning. They have become independent, and also due to ideas of women's liberation, that is freedom, women are developing a sense of self, like women are developing a self of like dislike belief system, qualities, roles. They have begun to part enthusiastically means in a very eagerly they participate in all fields and show determination in all fields related to education, earning money, administration, politics, etc. So till this part we have covered the all the issues related to women and what were the provisions which were done for the upliftment or issues related to women. Now we continue with the empowerment of weaker sections related to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and backward classes. So in post-independence period, our constitution adopted the values of freedom, equality, fraternity, and social justice. So after independence, the government it adopted the values of it adopted the values of freedom, equality, fraternity, and social justice. Now you can see the values, few more values mentioned here in the picture. Okay, there is liberty, equality, fraternity. Sovereignty is power of a country to rule, control its government. Socialist, wherein practice or support socialism. which is an ideology or system based on collective public ownership and control of resources used to make and distribute goods and or provide services. Then secular means not to um, accept any religion as inferior or superior, not to be concerned with any religion. Democratic means based on system of democracy. So these are the values of our constitution, which was adopted. So in according to that, the practice of untouchability means the practice of uh, keeping lower caste people at a distance was banned by law. Untouchability was removed by the 17th paragraph of our constitution, and this class, which was considered as an untouchability, they were included in scheduled caste. So, in view of the educational and social backwardness of these castes, they were given reservations. They, means the seats were reserved for them so that they also get equal rights. Okay, so seats were reserved for them in education as well as in jobs to make to see that or make possible their to so to see that their development is made possible. Then comes scheduled tribes. Now, just as scheduled caste we discussed, the scheduled tribes or you can say Adivasis who lived in remote parts of the country, they also faced lots of difficulties. So they had to live far away uh, from the progress which was happening in modern times. They were economically, means income wise also they were backward and socially related to society. In also they were backward. So even though their condition have seen some improvement in recent times, they do not have any means of livelihood, means way to earn money. Other than what they have is only the way of earning money through agriculture or forest produce. So modern farming implements have not yet reached them. Hence, their income from agriculture is very small, very less income they get. Besides, their field are on hillside and are not fertile, means they are unproductive. They are malnourished, means they have health is bad and they are due to lack of food, due to insufficient or you can say poor quality of diet as well. So Adivasis in remote areas, they find it difficult to get even good healthcare facilities or medical attention in time. So, for all these reasons, there is a need to give special protections to Adivasis. So, in the Indian Constitution, Adivasis have been enumerated, means listed as scheduled tribes, and they are getting given representation, means act of representing themselves in law boards, means committee of persons organized under the authority of law. Even in education, seats are reserved for them, and even in government jobs as well. Then we come to nomadic and denotified tribes. Now, nomadic is basically caste and tribes that move from one place to another for their livelihood. So, the caste and tribes that move from place to place for livelihood are included under nomadic tribes. They used to live by rearing animals, means looking after animals, and engaging in some other occupations. The British declared some of them as criminal tribes. When the British were ruling the country, they declared some of these wandering tribes as criminal tribes. So, in the law of 1871, to curb crimes, means to control crimes, some of the main groups were mentioned as criminal tribes, and their occupation and movements were banned. So, this unjust law was repealed, means cancelled in post-independence period, and the curbs that the control on these tribes were lifted. So this unfair law, you can say, which British had declared them as criminal tribes, was cancelled, and this control was lifted on them, wherein they were not allowed to move or or they were not allowed to undertake the occupations. So that was lifted up, and they were included under denotified tribes, very very hard to reach, less visible, or frequently left out tribes. There were special efforts made by the government for the purpose of their social and economic development, basically to improve their standard of living by providing them health services, education facilities, employment. So these tribes, they have been given representations in educational institution as well. When seats are reserved for them in educational institutions as well as in government sector, government jobs as well. Then we come to minorities. Okay, uh, the minorities, which is existence of variety of uh, culture. Okay, cultural group. Okay, um, which have like basically it includes um, minorities like Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, Parsis, Jains. So, in any society, you can say a group of people of particular religion or language or race who are very less in number, few in number, they are termed as minority. As there are various religions, sects, that the religious group and languages which exist in our country, we see great cultural diversity. We see existence of a variety, different cultural groups who are different in culture, religion, ethnicities, language, nationality, class, gender, age, etc. within a society. So there is a variation in the cultural traditions too. Means there is there they follow there is different a variety of languages, festival that is celebrated, rituals, ceremony, or food habits. So in order to preserve their culture and cultural traditions and develop their own language, the Constitution gives the citizens certain educational and cultural rights. So our Constitution has made a provision for minorities related to educational and cultural rights, which it is basically rights that saves their culture, script, or language. And the minorities have their right to protect and conserve their language, culture, that is their custom, belief, ideas, traditions, which is handed down handed down in for one generation to another. So for this purpose, they have set up separate educational institution as well for minorities. The government even implements various schemes for their progress. Okay, so a few of the schemes like Seekho or Kamao. Okay, it's basically skill development for youth of 14 to 35 years age group to provide employment opportunity and employment to school dropout. Then we have other um, schemes like Ustad to provide heritage and traditional art and crafts of minorities. Then Nai Manzil, which benefits minority youth by providing formal education and skills and enabling them to seek better employment and livelihood in organized sector. Then Garib Nawab, wherein minorities group youth in order to enable them for skill-based employment. There are various schemes implemented for their progress. So with this, we complete the revision of this chapter, that is chapter number 6. Now we'll look on to few points to remember in this chapter. So, movement through which Vinoba Bhave used to use the power of women, which is known as Budhan movement. Then the socialist leader of the Latne Morcha, which was Mrinal Gore. Then women who created awareness about the Chipko movement, it was Gaura Devi, Sudesha Devi, Bachani Devi. Then anti-liquor movement, it was started in 1992 in Andhra Pradesh. Then International Women's Year declared by women was 1975. Then chairman of the Committee on the Status of Women, it was Dr. Fulreno Guha in 1975. Then statewide conference for women in 1975 organized by Sri Mukti Sangharsha Samiti. Then publication of Samiti's manifesto was done in 1978. Then the Samiti's collection of songs was Sri Mukti Chi Lalkari. Then the Samiti's free play was Mulgi Zali Ho by Jyoti Mavsekar. Then the Samiti's periodical was known as Prerak Lalkari. Then women's group formed in 1977. In Pune, it was the feminist organization was Stree Mukti Andolan Samiti. It was established by Saudamini Rao. Aurangabad, Stree Anyay Virodhi Manch. Kolhapur, Mahila Dakshita Samiti. Nasik, Mahila Hakka. Latur, Nari Prabodhan Manch. Then periodicals which were started by Vidya Bal. It was known as Nari Samata Manch Milun Sarya Jami. Then establishment of the Mahila Dakshita Samiti. It was by Pramila Dandwati in Delhi in 1976. Then states in which branches of Mahila Dakshata Samiti were started. It was in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab. Then formation of Akhil Bharatiya Mahila Sangathan. It was done in 1980 by the Communist Party. Then Women's Studies Center, the Savitribai Phule Pune University in Pune. Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai. Shivaji University in Kolhapur. What are the laws for women? It is right to alimony, right to share in father's property, right to Stridhan, polygamy was made illegal, Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961, and even Maternity Benefit Act of 1961. Now, establishment of family courts was done in 1984. Then Muslims Women's Act, they had a protection of rights upon divorce. Rup Kanwar commits Sati, 4th September 1987. And government passed the Sati Prevention Act in 1998. Then formation of National Human Rights Commission was done in 1993 to prevent injustice to men and women. Then the 73rd and 74th Amendment in the Constitution, it reserved one-third of seats for women in Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti, Zilla Parishad, municipalities and municipal corporation. It reserved one-third of seats of women for post of Sarpanch, chairman and mayor as well. International Women's Day celebrated on 8th March. Provisions of 17th paragraph of Constitution, wherein the practice of untouchability was banned and the class was included in scheduled caste. Now, groups enumerated as scheduled tribes in Constitution are known as Adivasis. Nomadic tribes, tribes that move from place to place for their livelihood. Denotified tribes, it is formal criminal tribes whose restriction on occupation and movements have been lifted. Now, minorities, people of a religion, language, or race who were few in number. Right of minorities was to protect and conserve their language, culture, and traditions. Now, few dates and events. In 1972, women had to face the brunt of scarcity of supplies and rising prices. It gave a show of their strength as an organized entity. 1973, the Chipko movement started. 1992, in Andhra Pradesh, a movement was started against the drinking of alcohol known as anti-liquor movement. 1992, the three youths of Dubganta village of Nellore district in Andhra Pradesh drowned in a lake in a state of inebriation and died. 1975, the United Nations declared as International Women's Year, and the Government of India constituted the Committee on Status of Women, and Dr. Fulrenu Guha was appointed as a chairman. Then a statewide conference for women was held, which was organized by Stree Mukti Sangharsha Samiti. Then in 1978, the Samiti published its manifesto. In 1977, Stree Mukti Andolan Samiti established by Saudamini Rao in Pune. Even Bayaja Fortnightly was published. Stree Uvach, Maitrin, Stree Anyay Virodhi Manch, the feminist organization was started in Aurangabad. Mahila Hakka in Nasik, Nari Prabodhan Manch in Latur. In 1976, Pramila Dandwate established a Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Delhi. 1980, the Communist Party established the Akhil Bharatiya Janavadi Mahila Sangathan. 1952, a law enacted that recognized women's right to alimony and their share in father's property. 1961, the Dowry Prohibition Act made both giving and taking of dowry a cognizable criminal offense. And the Maternity Benefit Act gave women the right to get leave from the work at the time of childbirth. In 1984, the Dowry Prohibition Act and Amendment Act was passed. In 1988, 2,229 women died victim to dowry tradition. In 1990, the number of dowry deaths was 4,835, which increased more. Then in 1993, again the number of dowry deaths increased to 5,377. In 1984, family courts were established. 1985, trial involving alimony started. 4th September 1987, Rup Kanwar, a married woman, committed sati. Then in 1998, the government passed the Sati Prevention Act with a very stringent provisions, means the strict provisions. In 1993, Protection of Human Rights Act was enacted to prevent injustice to men as well as women. Then on 8th March 1957, a demonstration was held in New York by working women for fewer working hours, proper remuneration and salary, prevent provision of crutches, etc. 8 March 1909, women went on strike, and 8 March International Women's Day is celebrated. When we look on to few evaluation part, uh, here it is identifying you the wrong pen, and you have to rewrite the correct one. The first one is 3 Anyay Virodhi Manch in Aurangabad, Mahila Dakshata Samiti Pune, Mahila Hakka in Nasik, Nari Prabodhan Manch in Latur. So the incorrect pairs, since you have to write first, that is Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Pune, and the correct one is Mahila Dakshata Samiti is in Kolhapur. Then Stree Mukti Andolan Samiti was established by Saudamini Rao, Mahila Dakshata Samiti Kulrenu Guha, Milun Saryajani Vidya Bal, Latne Morcha Mrinal Gore. So the incorrect pair is Mahila Dakshata Samiti Kulrenu Guha, and the correct pair is Mahila Dakshata Samiti was led by Pramila Dandwati. Then next, Stree Muktichi Lalkari is a collection of songs. Mulgyo Saliho periodical, Bayaja fortnightly, Sitama Katha story. So the incorrect pair here is Mulgi Zali Ho is a periodical, rather it was a street play by Jyoti Mapsekar. And the concept chart, what are the laws related to women? Were passed in 1952. It was recognition of women's right to alimony and their share in father's property. Her right to Stridhan was recognized. Polygamy was made illegal, and women, just like men, they got a right to sue for divorce. Then in 1961, the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961 made it possible, made giving and taking of dowry a cognizable criminal offense. And this dismantled by the dowry tradition which was happening by its root, and further encouraged the social movement. And the law elevated, means destroyed the distress to women caused by the undesirable tradition of dowry. Then the Maternity Benefit Act was passed in 1961 for women. It gave the women right to get leave from their work at the time of childbirth, and came into existence of force in 1961. Now, who were the activists or the journalists who worked under Rup Kanwar Sati case? Geeta Seshu, Sujata Anandan, Anu Joseph, Kalpana Sharma. Okay. Then Nina Menon. Then comes explain the concept. This question also you need to write, mention all the points with answer, and you have to answer in points as well. The first one is alimony. It's basically a fixed amount which is paid to a married woman for her support, or which means upkeep for by the husband who has divorced her, and it is known as alimony. So this law was enacted, means passed in 1952, which recognizes women's right to alimony and their share in father's property. The right to Stridhan was recognized. Then minority. So the concept of minority you need to write again in points. In any society, a group of people or a particular religion, language, or race who are very few in number are termed as minority. As there are various religions, sects, and language in our country, we say great cultural diversity. There is a variation in cultural traditions too. In order to preserve their cultural traditions and develop their own language, the Constitution gives the citizens certain educational and cultural rights. And the minorities have the right to protect and conserve their language, culture, and tradition. So, for this purpose, they have a right to get up separate. They set up a separate educational institutions, and the government implements various schemes as well for their progress. Then the concept of International Women's Day. So a demonstration was held in New York on 8th March, and it was the first demonstration by working women to and its demands were like for fewer working hours, proper remuneration, provision of wages. So on 8th March 1909, women went on a strike for their to fulfillment of this demand, and that is why this day is declared as Women's Struggle Day at the Women's Socialist International Conference held in Denmark. The year 1975 was observed as International Women's Year, and in 1977, 8th March was declared as International Women's Day by a resolution passed in General Assembly of United Nations. The three aspects related to this program were peace, development, and equality between men and women. Then comes family courts. Now, this family courts was established to solve all the fight or problems arising out of differences within marriage and domestic problems, as well as issues like alimony, single parenthood, separation, care of children, ownership of children, which are related to family situation. So these family courts, they give priority to mutual understanding over witnesses and evidence, and to counselors over lawyers. Emphasis is on resolving issues quickly but justly. Then comes reservation for women. The 73rd and 74th Amendment to the Constitution provide for reservation of one-third of seats for women in Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti, Zilla Parishad, municipalities, and municipal corporation, as well as post of Sarpanch, Chairman, and Mayor. Maharashtra and 15 other states, they have reserved 50% seats for women. The provision provides women the opportunity to participate in the business of the community. Then comes scheduled tribes. The scheduled tribes or Adivasi who lived in the remote parts of the country, they had to face several difficulties. As they have lived far away from the progress made in modern times, they are economically and socially backward. Even though their condition have seen some improvement in recent times, they do not have any means of livelihood other than agriculture and forest produce. Modern farming implements have not yet reached them, hence their income from agriculture is very less. Besides, their fields are on hillsides and not fertile. They are malnourished due to insufficient and poor quality of diet. When Adivasis in remote areas, they find it difficult to get medical attention in time. So for all these reasons, there is a need to give special protection to Adivasis. In the Indian Constitution, Adivasis have been enumerated as a scheduled tribes. They are given representation in law board, education, government service, etc. Now explain the following statements with reason. Okay, like give reason. You need to mention the reasons for the statements given. Again in points. The first year is the Prohibition of Dowry Amendment Act was enacted in 1984. Why was it so? Because even after the enactment of the anti-dowry law, incidents like women burns to death as sari pallu catches fire while cooking, women slips into well while washing clothes, drowns and dies continue to be reported. Investigations still reveal dowry to be the most frequent cause of such death. The role of police, administration, and judiciary were highlighted, and so this created greater awareness. And as a result, this Dowry Amendment Act came into force or was implemented in 1984. Then the practice of untouchability was banned by law. So here also the first point is to in post-independence period, The Constitution adopted values of freedom, equality, fraternity, that is brotherhood and social justice. So according to this, the practice of untouchability was banned. Untouchability was removed by the 17th paragraph of the Constitution, and this class was included as scheduled caste. Then the Constitution gives cultural and educational rights to minorities. Why is it so? In any society, a group of people of a particular religion, language, or race who are few in number are termed as minority. So there are various religions, sects, and language in our country. We see great cultural diversity. There is a variation in cultural traditions too. In order to preserve their cultural traditions and develop their own language, the Constitution gives citizens certain educational and cultural rights. And minorities have the right to protect and conserve their language, culture, and traditions. So, for this purpose, they have been set up separate educational institutions for minorities. Then the Muslim Women's Act, that is Protection of Rights on Divorce, was passed by Parliament. So here the fixed amount which was paid to a married woman for her upkeep by the husband was who has divorced her is known as alimony. So there was a case of Muhammad Ahmad Khan where Shah Banu Begum. So the Supreme Court they gave a verdict that Shah Banu Begum had a right to alimony. However, religious organizations they protested vociferously against this judgment or verdict. As a result, the Muslim Women's Act Protection of Rights on Divorce was passed by Parliament. The next is in 1998, the government passed the Sati Prevention Act with very stringent provisions. So on 4th September 1987, Rup Kanwar, a married woman, committed sati. She did not do it with her own free will. She was forced to do so. Committing sati, praising the practice of sati was made illegal. Women activists and journalists Meena Menon, Gita Sheshu, Sujata Anandan, Anu Joseph, Kalpana Sharma, they investigated this case. So in 1998, the government passed the Sati Prevention Act with very stringent provisions. Now here there is a passage and given. You need to read the passage and answer the question. The first question is to prepare a concept map of issues taken by Akhil Bharatiya Janavadi Mahila Sangathan. So it was the Communist Party which was established in 1980. That is Akhil Bharatiya Janavadi Mahila Sangathan. They fought against the issues of women like dowry, female foeticide, domestic abuse. Then state the role of Pramila Dandavate and Vidya Bal in women's upliftment. Pramila Dandavate, as we know, she established Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Delhi in 1976. Vidya Bal published the periodicals like Nari Samta Manch and Milun Saryajani. Then where are the women's studies centers located in Maharashtra now, our state? So it's Srimati Natibai Damodar Thakarse Women's University, SNDT University in Mumbai, Tata Institute of Social Science in Mumbai, Savitribai University, Savitribai Phule University in Pune, Shivaji University in Kolhapur. And here there's a picture given and there's a question. When was the Sati Prevention Act passed? So it was basically in 1998, the government passed the Sati Prevention Act with a very stringent provision. They named the activist and journalist who investigated in this case of Rup Kanwar. So it was on 4th September, Rup Kanwar, married woman, she committed sati. She did not do with her own free will. She was forced to do so. So the women activists and journalists Meena Menon, Gita Seshu, Sujata Anandan, Anu Joseph, they investigated the case. What are the provisions of Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961? It made both giving and taking of dowry a cognizable criminal offense. Now, why did Dowry Prohibition Amendment Act came into force in 1984? It was even after the enactment of anti-dowry law, investigation still revealed dowry to be the most frequent cause of death. So this created greater awareness. Thus, Dowry Prohibition Amendment Act came into force in 1984. So students, we complete revision of this chapter, that is chapter number 6, Empowerment of Women and Other Women sections of the society. I hope you would have understood the lesson well. Sir?
Yes, teacher. Thank you.